All right, let's talk about tarot. And right off the bat, I want you to forget everything you've seen in the movies. You know, the crystal balls, the spooky fortune tellers. That is not what we're doing here. Today, we're going to look at tarot as a seriously powerful tool for understanding yourself right now in the present. Think of it like a mirror for your own life, helping you see the patterns you might be missing. It's a practical guide to self-reflection, plain and simple. So let's dive in.
Yeah, this quote absolutely nails it. The real power of tarot, if you want to call it that, isn't about predicting some far-off destiny. It's about pattern recognition. It's a mirror. It's not going to show you a future that's set in stone. What it will do is show you the story you're in right now, but like from a totally different angle that you probably haven't thought of before.
Okay, so before we go any further, let's just clear the air and talk about what tarot isn't. We've got to bust the biggest myth right out of the gate. This is not about predicting some fixed, unchangeable future. Not at all.
So you can really see the huge shift in perspective here. A lot of people think tarot is all about predicting the future, some kind of magic 8-ball that gives you all the answers. But what it actually is, well, it's a tool for reflecting on the present. It's less about magic and mysticism and way more about intuition and, honestly, psychology. The goal isn't to get these fixed answers. It's to learn how to ask yourself better, deeper questions.
So you might be wondering, okay, how can a deck of cards possibly do all that? And the answer is pretty cool. And it's not magic. It's actually a lot closer to neuroscience. See, tarot works by tapping into the way our brains are wired to process images. It's like a secret backdoor that lets us bypass our logical and, let's be honest, often overthinking minds. Okay, check this out. It's kind of like we have two brains. There's our new brain, the neocortex, which is all about logic, language, and analysis. It's smart, but it's slow and deliberate. Then you have the old brain, the part that deals with emotion, instinct, and images, and it is fast. The pictures on tarot cards speak directly to that old, fast brain. It's why when a card like the Tower comes up, you don't sit there and logically analyze it. Nope, you feel it, right in your gut. That's the part of your brain we're talking to. And the language these images are speaking? It's the language of archetypes. Now, what's an archetype? Well, just think of them as these universal symbols that we all kind of understand without being taught. You know, the hero's journey, the wise elder, the nurturing mother. They show up in stories and myths all over the world. A tarot deck is basically just a collection of these powerful archetypes, and that's why they can trigger such deep personal insights when we look at them.
All right, so that's the why behind how this all works. Now, let's get practical and talk about the how. Getting a really meaningful reading boils down to just 3 key parts. It's pretty straightforward.
It really is a simple process. First, you got to have a question. You need to frame what you're trying to understand. Second, you create the right space for it, both physically and mentally, so you can really focus. And third, you actually get your hands on the cards, you shuffle, you draw, and you lay them out.
Now, this first step, this is maybe the most important part of the whole thing. The quality of your reading depends entirely on the quality of your question. So asking something like, "Will I get the job?" is asking for a prediction. But what if you shifted it to how can I best approach this opportunity? See the difference? The best questions focus on you. They explore the process, not just the outcome. They seek understanding, not permission. It puts all the power right back in your hands.
All right, so let's get to the heart of it. How do you take these seemingly random images and actually read a coherent story in them? I promise, it's way simpler than you probably think.
We're going to use what's probably the most popular spread out there, especially for beginners, the simple 3-card spread. It is so powerful. The first card represents the past, or like the foundation of the whole situation. The second card is the present, the challenge, what's happening right this minute. And the third card, that's the potential future. And I say potential because it's not a prediction, right? It's just showing you where things are headed if you stay on the current path.
Okay, let's do a quick example to see how this works in action. Let's say you're feeling totally stuck on a new creative project. You could ask the cards this question: what do I need to understand about my resistance to starting this? That is a great question. It's focused on understanding an internal block.
So, in the first position for the past, we pulled the Hermit. This card shows a lone figure holding up a lantern seeking wisdom. This tells us the foundation of this whole situation is a time of solitude. Maybe you've been doing some really valuable inner work, reflecting, figuring things out on your own. That's the backstory.
Now, for the present position, the challenge, out comes the 2 of Swords. I mean, just look at that imagery. A blindfolded figure holding these 2 huge crossed swords. It's a total stalemate. The blindfold suggests a refusal to see something, and the crossed swords create this impassable barrier. This isn't about not having options. This is about being paralyzed, actively choosing not to choose.
And then, for the potential future, we get the Ace of Wands. Wow. This card is all about pure, raw potential. It's that spark, that new energy, that brilliant idea. It's like a hand from the heavens is offering you this burst of creative fire. All that momentum is just sitting there, waiting for you to grab it.
So let's connect the dots. What's the story here? Well, you started out in this really productive hermit mode, doing some deep thinking, but that has now morphed into Two of Swords avoidance. You're in a mental stalemate. You're pretending you don't know what to do. But the second you decide to take off that blindfold and just make a choice, bam, that Ace of Wands energy, that creative spark is ready and waiting for you. See how that works? It's not three separate meanings. It's one single, actionable story.
Okay, so now you see how to weave a story from the cards. But we need to talk about the most important part of this whole process, and that is trusting your own intuition. Because remember, the cards are just the tool. You are the reader.
And this right here, this is probably the single most crucial piece of advice for anyone starting out. The little guidebooks are great for learning the basics. But if you pull a card and the book's meaning just doesn't resonate, but you have this strong gut feeling about what it means for you, trust your gut. Every single time. Your intuition is the reading.
Remember how we talked about the old brain? It speaks first. That initial gut-level response you have to an image, before your logical brain jumps in to overanalyze everything. That's where the real insight is. Trust that first 10-second impression. It's almost always telling you exactly what you need to know.
So in the end, that's really all tarot is. It's not a crystal ball to see the future. It's a mirror to see the present more clearly. It's a tool to help you recognize your patterns, your challenges, and your incredible potential. The cards can show you what's there. The only question left is, are you brave enough to look?